Hey there folks, SeKo Beercraft here. Casting some Starcraft replays, amateur replays in fact, and it is one of my games, and no I am not the Terran player, I'm actually going to be the Zerg player, going against a Terran player. It's a bit of a longer game, so I'm going to speed it up a bit, just because it's a longer game, and I'm sitting here having beers, and it's a longer game. Anywho, it's quite often I'm casting replays as me as a Terran against a Zerg. It's one of my favorite matchups, but I was playing some random, and I happened to go the other way around here. We'll see how this works out for me. I decided I'm going to go for, it's not a super cheesy or aggressive thing, but I wanted to get down a pool with speed right away. That way I was going to be able to control the map well, deal with any type of Reaper or Hellion play, which is just super common, before I get down my expansion. So you'll see that that's going on, not too big of a deal. Back on this side he's going for a low ground CC and a bunker right in front of it as well. Just a handful of Marines before he starts working on himself a factory. And interestingly enough, because he went for the factory and getting the reactor in place here, that means that it's going to be a while before he gets more units out. Whatever he has here is essentially what he's going to have in total. And he is going to be playing mech. For the first time, I'm going to be going up as a Zerg player against a meching Terran. So I'll get a chance to really experience what it's like to finally go up against somebody that usually plays like I do. He is going to be moving into the really fast Hellions here, double Hellion production, with a better economy than I usually have at this standpoint. I think this guy was actually pretty polished. I will go for a bit of a bum rush with a bunch of Zerglings with speed. I saw an opportunity and I took it. Killed all the Hellions, killed the bunker, killed all the workers, forced the lift, and he's going to be putting his Hellions inside of his base, because obviously he doesn't want me to surround anymore. Might have been a good opportunity. It looks like he was considering maybe coming out to fight this. There's just way too many down here. So I'll kill what I can. And now I'm in a pretty good spot. Behind this I'm droning up, getting down another base. And I am getting down a baneling nest. Though I don't think I really made a lot of use of that in this game. I was just deciding for myself, do I want to try to bust this? The reason why I don't want to try and bust this is if he does go for a lot of Hellions here, I could lose a lot of my banelings coming up, and I could also potentially just not do the damage that I need to, as opposed to going for more economy behind this. And he is going for Shawnee's infamous 2-factory blue flame build, just with better economy than I usually do. Only a handful of lings I'm going to keep here. I know I'm going against Hellions, so I'm going to send the rest away before I have a chance to lose them all. Moving up into a relatively fast layer, and I'm going to start taking more gas. And getting supply blocked, because I like being supply blocked. So I've put a pretty good hold on things here. If we look at actual kills, killed 7 workers. He's only got those 5 Hellions right now. I mean, that's not really enough for him to want to push out with that, with the amount of Hellions that I had. I mean, it's just too likely that I could just get a huge surround on him and kill everything. He did get a 3rd command center during all this. I will come over here with 4 lings and got 1 mule. Oh yes, good play by Shawnee. I see all the Hellions. I didn't see the blue flame yet, but I will get down a spine crawler here, just because I'm going to appreciate that run-bys are probably a thing. I'm trying to move a little bit of creep. Not super pro yet, guys. Give me a break. So units-wise, we look at economy. I've got a lead, not a huge lead, because I'm going to make another big pile of Zerglings, expecting there to be another Hellion push, whereas he is making 3 workers at a time, so he's doing a pretty good job on that standpoint. Big pile of lings, no upgrades on them yet. There's no upgrades on the Terran mech, but blue flame is now finished, so that's going to help him be a lot more powerful. Quite a few blue flame Hellions, 9 in total, and we'll see that I've got a page and a half of Zerglings. So I didn't kill all of them, I only killed 5, and that tells you that 9 blue flame Hellions can take on something like, what is that, 32, 40, something about 45 Zerglings by themselves. Pretty decent. Throwing down some crawlers on all these bases, a little bit of emergency crawlers. Poke. Poke. So he does come in here, he'll get himself a couple of kills, but now he lost everything. Oh look, and that scan was interesting. I'm not too sure if that was just one last check. Only got 2 workers and all that, so pretty good hold for me. Lost a lot of Zerglings earlier on. Making another 11 workers now, because if we look at the units tab, he's actually caught up in this period of time and has moved into his 3rd base. And I think this is a much more polished version of mech than I'm generally used to. He's not over making units. He is going right into that economy really heavy. Already has 5 factories down. He's got a pretty massive supply block right now. But he's in a pretty good spot. He's making good income. All the production facilities he's going to need for a long time. And he's going to throw down some missile turrets now because he knows that a Spire is coming. So, as I was saying, I think this guy's got a really polished Terran mech strategy, even probably more so than myself. And I like to give myself a fair bit of credit on my mech. But this guy just seems to be pretty elite in that. Lots of gas coming in for me here. You see I got a pretty big bank of gas. Waiting for my minerals to move. A few more zerglings, a few more workers. This is just to deal with any more blue flame run-bys. I want to be able to control these watchtowers. It's kind of important. I want to keep as much vision as I can and deny him the vision. He's already moving into 3 thors at a time with upgrades. So you see that this is a much more polished way of playing mech. Really good on the economy, keeping up on his supply, missile turrets in place. This base is a bit exposed, but he's got a great tank hidden in the back here. And he snipes all my scoutlings that I was trying to send in with this tank on the high ground. Piles of mutas coming out here. I'm going to get a couple runs, up to about 16 or so, plus 1 attack. I'm going to use that to give myself a bit of map control. But I understand that if he is going to be going for mech, that I'm going to need something more than mutas to deal with a mech. It's just, I know I've played against enough zergs as mech to know that it's not going to work. Need a lot more workers down here. Pretty okay saturation in here, could use a bit more. Pretty okay saturation in here. But units wise, I'm only at 54 workers. I should probably be up at about 20 more or so. Another base on the way. Keeping the tower at the top. So he's in a pretty good spot. Lots of thors. Upgrades are on the way. And he's got lots of hellions out there to deal with it. My pile of mutalisks, I'm throwing down my roach and hydra because I was going to consider to go for a roach hydra composition as a part of this. That was going to be my fallback piece. You can see my upgrades are going into my ranged attacks now. But my infestation pit is also on the way. Muta's now ready to move out. Oops, come back here, computer screen. We see he doesn't have any real big reason to move out anytime soon. He got a bit of a supply block again. But he's going to wait till he has probably about 150, 160 supply before he really feels like moving out. Not about like a huge pile of mutas, just 16 or so. Snipe a few things. Thors, he's got a little bit confused on himself there. Has to try and mic around a little bit. We'll snipe down the missile turrets. They bought him time, which is the important thing, so he's not going to lose as much economy. My mutas are on hold position, so the splash damage is doing much less to them. It'd been nice if I could sniped an armory or two, but I didn't really have time for that. So I lost about half my mutas. Workers killed though, I'm up to 29, so that's pretty effective. His overall worker count's down to 41, and I'm at about 60, making a few more. And now I'm moving into Swarmhosts. It's going to be my plan. He's going mech, he's going to be very immobile. I got to come up with a giant number of units just to fight against him here. I'm doing locusts, it's a little bit delayed, but what can you do? This was really smart by me here. I'm using my mutas out front here to try to just snipe as many units as I can. Mech, all these different units move at different speeds. So if you know that you're going against a mech opponent, if you stand out a little bit in front, a lot of times they'll attack, move across the map. You'll have the opportunity to come and do a lot of damage to these light units that are caught too far out in front. If he lost all of his hellions, they would have helped out a lot in this battle. Swarmhosts are now out on the way. Scans, he doesn't see the number of Swarmhosts, but he doesn't look like he wants to stick around at all to deal with that. A few workers down here on a auto repair. It's nice to have as a meching player. So he's not in a terrible spot. I mean, he's down a bit in supply, but his tech is good. His upgrades are moving. He's keep making up to, I think he got a few more workers out. About, oh, I sniped a few of them over here. They were hanging out. Not in a terrible spot, but he does have to retreat. This would be way too expensive to lose. Behind this, Enduring Locust about to finish my burrow. And I got myself down some lings at different bases here that I want to keep control of. One thing that I am missing at this point, which I should have started a lot earlier, is my 2-2. I can afford it now. You can see I've got a giant bank, but I'm hugely supply blocked like a total noob. I will snap a command center for free. It's cool. Guy likes to be scan happy. A little strange for me. Still supply blocked. Still don't recognize that I'm supply blocked. Focusing too much on my army. That supply block's kicking me in the ass right now. You see that bank is just ridiculous. And I have a lot of units that I want to make and upgrades that I can do. 12 overlords. Finally going to get myself into a better position. And I should have been spending a bit more time on my creep. Made an extra queen to move my creep around. Just so that way I could retreat easier with these swarm hosts if need be. He's not sieged up in position here. He doesn't have a ton of tanks. But his upgrades right now, 1-1 versus 1-1. His 2-2 will be finished a lot before mine. More mutas in production. I'm pretty sure I've got lots of larvae. Yeah, no, actually blew through most of my larvae. Trying to keep up on my injects, but it's easy to get distracted from that. I can get all the damage in that I can. Oh yeah, right, he tried to move forward with some Vikings for vision, and that's why I wanted to have the mutalisks here. You need to have air control in this kind of versus mech game. I've played enough on the mech side of things that if you don't have this air control, you can get into a ton of trouble. So that's why I want to focus on getting out this mutalisk pressure. These hellions are actually doing a really good job against the swarm host locusts. Now I'm in a little bit of a tough spot here. I'm going to try and snipe the air stuff that I can. But now I've got to wait for another round of locusts to come out before I can run away. Buy myself some time, scoot, retreat. Losing a fair bit of my mutalisks here, but it's a bit calculated. I don't know why he has these in high impact payload. He's going to be much more in favor of getting the splash damage, I think, than otherwise. So we're going to shoot and scoot. Almost lost some of my locusts here. I think I do remember these guys. Yep. Locusts really aren't that tough. They're not that bulky of a unit. A lot more swarm hosts down here now. 2-2 won't be finished just yet. So I'm going to lose 2 of my locusts. Oh, just lost a third. He's got a pretty ragtag army now, though, and it doesn't look like he really wants to stick around for that. He was going to try to rally up for it, but he's forgetting some of his tanks. A little bit of a misstep from him there. But it is important that he pulls back because he's not in a position where he really can tangle with the kind of locust pressure I'm going to be using. 4th base is in swing. It looks like he's, yep, just about ready for his 4th. Still moving out with his production there. Got the Ravens, got the Vikings. He understands the importance of the air control. For me now, it's very important to do the same. With my amount of money, what I should be doing at this point is throwing down some macro hatches. 2 or 3 of them. I know I've got to expand. I'm going to do the same thing. But the macro hatches will just give me more larvae. As you can see, I've got no larvae, but I've got this huge bank that I can't spend, including gas. I've been smart enough to take all of my gases, finally. Except for these gases. Apparently I don't need these gases. Man, I suck. Burrow in play. It would have been nice to have a burrowed ling over here. I thought I did for some reason. Didn't I? No. So he will get a bit of an opportunity. Was going to go for a bit of a ling run by over here. Lings are cheap for me. I've got lots of minerals. What I want to do is keep him in kind of a tough spot. So I'll actually manage to snipe a handful of workers there. Almost got those 2 mules, would have been pretty good. I've got no upgrades on my lings, essentially, so I expect him to die. Was going to try and snipe this thing down, but I decided not. My mutas are worth a little bit too much right now. It'd be too easy for him to get off some good volleys. Kind of surprised he hasn't mixed in some widow mines. I mean, it's not mobile, so they don't make a lot of sense. But just to cover your bases a bit helps. Yeah, burrowed ling. He does have ravens overhead, so he will clean that up. This will buy me time to get my locusts popping out and running at him. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about it. This guy's name is friggin' awesome if you guys haven't seen it. KimJongSkill. D's. Ravens coming out. They want to do some secret missiling. And interestingly enough, these guys can take a bit of a hit. They actually didn't kill any with that. Didn't quite get the snipes on the Ravens. Very expensive units. I do really want to pull them off. Another 15 mutas in production. Really going to go for that air control. It's been super slick for me to catch this base though. It's very important for him to get that gas count coming up. Would be nice to have a queen over here as well, and start spreading some creep down there. Get a little bit more movement speed on these locusts. They're not really getting right on top of these units fast enough. I did not see that secret missile came out there. It's going to do huge damage to my Muta flock. Was hoping to magic box this, but when I lost like half my Mutas to one like secret missile, it kind of changes your perspective on things. You got to grow up really fast. Another base over here. Still a little bit too focused on the action to start mining from it. Finally getting more gases because my gas count's really low, I've noticed. And up here, throwing down some defenses. I was expecting to see a little bit more of Hellion run-bys. Just because he was doing it earlier on, I thought Hellion run-bys would have made a lot of sense for him to try. Tanks are doing a really good job, getting great splash. Their upgrades, they're up to +3 attack. So they're managing to do quite well. I'm not sniping that many units. Mutas have to come back in now and fight. Actually lost a couple of Swarmhosts in that. But for him, he lost a lot of his tanking units in the front. All of his Hellions are gone. Lost a couple Thors. And I'm not in a terrible spot. More Mutas on the way. 5 in gas. Way to go, Sean. Making a few more workers. What's my total worker count at now? 57 to 54. So I still have a slight lead, but I'm not doing a lot of damage to this opponent. I'm keeping his supply low. I figured I was doing at least that much. But we're kind of at a stalemate here. Right? Unless I move up into potentially something like Broodlords might be nice. That would help me out a little bit as well. It's a really good position to that tank. I didn't realize he could hit me from there. So at this point I've got to do some sort of run around attack. And I know, as somebody with a lot of experience playing mech, he's not going to have anything at home to deflect this. Unit production is going to be too slow and it's all going to be at the front, so I'm going to run around in behind and try to start harassing this production facilities. The production facility is what you need as a Terran. And as mech, your units come out much slower and they're going to be a lot less mobile. So I'm going to go do some sniping. Actually going to get a really good opportunity in the back. If I lose a few mutas, that's okay. I got snipe units. And he GG's out. I thought it was a pretty good game. I thought it was a little sloppy at times, but I thought I managed to play my hand quite well, deal with the mech in a good way, and I hope people use this as a way, if you are having trouble with meching players, what those strengths and weaknesses of that play are. You see the Banshees are coming back in. I wouldn't have recommended this. The Mutas would snipe those really fast, though I don't have detection over here. If he had a cloak on these things, probably be a different story. SeKo Starcraft, one of his BS games, having some beers. Hope you guys like it. We'll talk with you later.